Hello out there, and welcome to the Dixie Belle Paint Company main page on Facebook. My name is Cece and my business is Cece Restyled. I am a furniture artist and Dixie Belle brand ambassador. And tonight we're going to be doing a little bit of, we're going to do a little bit of education on the color wheel, super quick, just the basics, and then we are going to do some blendy blend on this little chest behind me. So it should be a lot of fun and a little bit of learning too. So if you hop on, say hello, let us know where you're tuning in from. I'm in Indianapolis and it was beautiful today. It was one of those days where you're just outside. So I'm pretty sure everybody, I don't know, you can let us know how your weather was, but we had a pretty good day. So that means it'll be snowing tomorrow here. But anyways, so like I said, we have got a brief color wheel rundown, and we can go ahead and start with that, and then we'll do some blendy blend. So color wheel, okay? Sorry, it's a little bit reflecting in my bright lights here. So you can get a color wheel. Let me backtrack here. I get asked a lot, how do you choose your colors? How do I know what colors match? How do I know what color to pair with this color? You know, how do you choose a color scheme for your piece? And it's not everybody is born with the natural ability to put colors together. Some people are, some people are not, but luckily there's this handy dandy color wheel for you, so you can take all the guesswork out of it and you can just spin it and come up with your color combination. So basically this is the color wheel. If you've never seen one before, or if you have and you don't know how to read it, we'll just go through that real quick so that you know like the fundamentals of, you know, color theory and choosing colors. It's a formula really, so you don't have to guess what colors go together, and you can just, you can know by using your handy dandy color wheel. So mine has two sides. They don't all have two sides. You can get them on Amazon, anywhere online, Michael's, Joann's, any of those places, whatever craft store you have. And mine has two sides, okay? So each side has all the colors all the way around, okay? And then, see, all the way around. One side is for tints, which is when you add white to a color. That's called a tint. So each of these is a tint of yellow, this being the lightest. But every time you add white, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more to yellow, that's a tint. So when you add black to yellow, you get what is called a shade. So yellow, add a little bit of black, that's a shade of black. Shade of black. So is my art school showing yet? Is it showing? Does this color wheel make me look fat? Anyways, no, I'm just kidding. I'm in a weird mood tonight. Weird mood. So anyways, back to the color wheel. Okay, so all the colors are around it. One side you got all your tints, that's adding white. The other side you have all your shades, which is adding black. Okay, so they make it really easy for you on these color wheels. You don't have to guess. There's a few different color schemes that you can get out of turning the color wheel. So say you want to use two colors. That's a contrasting or complementary color scheme. So complementary is two colors. And those colors are going to be exactly opposite, directly opposite on the color wheel. So say I know I want to use antebellum blue, which would be somewhere in between here. Maybe. Somewhere in between here. Antebellum blue. Okay, so say I know I want to use antebellum blue. What goes with antebellum blue? I just need one other color. Well, what's directly across from it in a complementary color scheme but orange, peach, oranges, peaches, okay? So if you're using two colors, you pick two colors that are directly opposite. So let's say we want to use amethyst. We're going to find our amethyst. Say we want to use amethyst and we want to choose one other color to go with it. We're going to need to find the color that is directly opposite of it on the color wheel. So let's see. So amethyst is somewhere in here, okay? Directly opposite from that is yellow. Purple and yellow is a great color combination. So it's super simple, two colors directly across from each other on the color wheel. Now the second one's going to blow your mind. It's called the triadic color scheme, okay? And it forms a triangle. That's why they call it triadic. You see, so triadic makes a triangle, which means three colors in the triangle on the color wheel is a triadic color scheme. So say you want to use antebellum blue and you want to use 2 other colors. So let's see, let's go back to where we had our antebellum blue like color. Okay, and you don't have to remember all this. That's the great thing about it, because it says on there for you. So a little cheat sheet right here. So all you gotta do is buy one of these suckers, spin it, look at your placement on the color wheel, and you have your color schemes. Okay, so let's say we want to pair antebellum blue with two other coordinating colors in our triadic color scheme. Okay, so 3 equidistant colors on the color wheel are red, yellow, and blue, which happen to be a color harmony, red, yellow, and blue, because they're the primary colors. So let's turn it a little bit this way. Okay, so say we want maybe a slightly darker than antebellum blue. Let's say we're going to go Bunker Hill blue, and we want 2 other colors here to go with it. So we get our Bunker Hill blue, and we can choose limeade, and we can choose, let's say, maybe like, I don't know, honky tonk red. That's a color scheme. So you can just kind of play around with it and look at the different configurations and see what you think is appealing to you for a specific piece. And obviously on the tint side, where you add white, because remember, tints you add white, shades you add black to the color. So I mean, it looks completely different on this side. So okay, and those are 2 of the more common color schemes. There's also monochromatic, which is basically choosing one color and using all the tints or all the shades. So say I want a blue monochromatic color scheme. Monochromatic means one color. Mono means one, and chromatic means color. So art school showing again. So aqua, I want a monochromatic aqua scheme. I can use all of these colors. I can also use all of these colors, which is technically the same color, but with the addition of white or black. Does that make sense? Am I making sense here? People? So, okay, so there's also other color schemes. So it's 1, 2, and 3 color schemes. There's also quadratic and like split complementary and all those, but I'm not going to get into all that because I just wanted to do that real quick. So monochromatic, directly across from each other, is complementary, or in a triangle, triadic. Okay, so take the guesswork out of choosing your colors and get you a little color wheel. Okay, fancy one with 2 sides is even better than one with 1 side. So okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do some blendy blend with our fairly right now monochromatic color scheme of let's see, we're using a little bit of Stormy Seas and a little bit of Vintage Duck Egg. Let's see, that would be, I think that would actually be a split complementary scheme, if we want to get technical about it, because I'm going to throw in a little bit of aubergine to my blendy blend. So here we go. Okay, so as you can see, I went ahead and I painted my first coat. Okay, so when I'm doing the blendy blend, I like to think about highlights and lowlights on my piece. So oops, sorry, I forgot network connection. Are you there? Am I back? I'm just gonna not move my tripod, because every time I move my tripod, I seem to lose connection. Yay, technology. But at least I'm here, all right? So, silly. Well, okay. So I don't know if you can see me and hear me. I keep losing connection. I don't know what the deal is with that, but I'm also not seeing comments. So I'm not. All right. Am I got connection? Am I back? Okay. If I'm back and you can hear me, I'm not ignoring anyone. I'm not getting comments. It's just showing me who's watching, but I'm not getting any comments. So if you have a comment or question about the color wheel or the blendy blend, just drop them in the comments and I'll go back through later and answer them if they don't get answered. But I'm not seeing any comments, so just names of people who are logging on. So hey guys, technical difficulties this evening, it's awesome. But, you know, I'm used to that. So anyways, back to where we were. So when I am blendy blend, I like to do highlights, okay? And then kind of a shadow or vignette around the edges, which is usually a darker color. So whatever color I choose for the body, I take a darker color and I go around edges and details with the darker color on my first coat. I don't blendy blend on the first coat. I blendy blend on coat number 2, which is what we're about to do. So I've got my vintage duck egg and my stormy seas, and I'm gonna go ahead and open up both of those. These are like classic, I love these colors. They're just classic, beautiful, timeless blues. We're gonna go ahead and start with vintage duck egg, and I'm gonna go ahead and get my stormy seas ready because we wanna blend while our paint is wet. So I wanna have them both available and ready. I am using for my stormy seas, I'm using the Dixie Belle synthetic paintbrush in flat medium. One of my favorite brushes right now. It's just the perfect size. It fits all kinds of places. It's good for big pieces, small pieces. That's my favorite brush right now. But for my vintage duck egg, I'm covering a little bit larger of an area. So I'm using my oval medium because it's a little bit larger and it'll give me coverage faster. Oval medium, synthetic. I like to use synthetic brushes, especially the ones from Dixie Belle, because they're very good at minimizing brush strokes. And Dixie Belle is a self-leveling paint, so I like to spray it mist it with a little bit of water while I'm working. It retards the drying of the paint just a little bit, enough for it to self-level and get some of those brush strokes out. So you can get a nice smooth finish with a little bit of misty mist and a synthetic brush. That helps tremendously. So coat number 2, we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and start on my bottom draw. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start in the middle and get a little mist of water to kind of spread my paint around. Not only does it help with my brush strokes, but it helps to make my paint go a lot further. I'm pretty heavy-handed with the paint, and when I mist with the water, I'm able to make my paint go further and I don't waste as much or use as much. And again, of course, the whole brush strokes, it helps with that too. So I'm gonna misty mist, and I'm just painting right over where I put my first coat of vintage duck egg. I'm just painting over that for a second coat. And I'm also misting it with water so that I can blend. I need it to stay wet long enough for me to apply my stormy seas. I'm only gonna work in a small section at a time, and I'm going to do each drawer one at a time, because when you're blending, you wanna work in small sections at a time, okay? You can't blend paint when it's dry, so you gotta work in small sections, smallish sections, okay? It doesn't have to be tiny. Not get carried away with ourselves here, but we'll go ahead and make sure we get in all these little details here. And it's okay if this coat is not perfect because we're not blending yet. Once we start blending in, it'll all just kind of fade together, and it'll look beautiful and fancy. But do make sure you get in those details, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and pounce around those. That's the best way really to get in the details. Pounce. I'm gonna give it a little misty mist of water and grab my stormy seas, and I'm just gonna go ahead and paint my second coat of stormy seas now. A little dried fleck in my paint there. Okay, and get the side of my drawer, so a nice clean crisp line there. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of paint right around my details. I'm kind of almost framing in my vintage duck egg. And if you're just hopping on, or I lost you and you came back, I'm sorry, I can't read any comments for some reason. I can only see names, but I don't see any comments, so I apologize. But I will go back and answer your questions later if you have any. We went over some basics on the color wheel for a few minutes, and that was pretty simple. And now we're just blending our 2 different colors. So I'm just doing a second coat here after my first coat dried. And I'm using Stormy Seas and Vintage Duck Egg for now. Then we're going to blend in some aubergine to make it real special. Okay, so here we go. I gave it a mist of water, so all my paint's still wet enough to blend it. Now, I'm going to grab my blending brush once I find that. And that's going to be this big, fat, round wax brush I like to blend with, okay? So, got me a shop towel. So where my two colors meet, around the details where they meet, I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to kind of swipe all around that to get the colors to start blending together. Blending details is really not that difficult. It sounds like it would be, maybe a little scary, a little difficult maybe, but it's not. Promise you that. Okay, so now I'm going to go through and I'm just going to further blend my paints a little bit together. So see how the line between the two colors is kind of just blurring and fading, because I'm just going over it with these simple circular motions to get the paint to blend together. It's that simple. It's super duper simple. Simple. It's easy as pie. See? Easy as pie. Boom. Done. Okay, now I'm going to give it one more gentle swipe all the way around to clean up any extra brush strokes that I may not have wanted on there. And that's it. You notice I'm wiping off my brush between every few strokes. It's because I like to get rid of the excess paint on my brush. Otherwise you end up with, crazy brush strokes if you paint in the wrong place and all that jazz. So I see a few little strokes I just kind of want to clean up. And then actually I'm going to add a little bit more storm. I want it a little bit darker in this area, so I'm going to add a little bit more Stormy Seas. And then I'm going to do just like we did a second ago. And I'm just going to kind of swipe it to blend. Then I'm just going to kind of make sure that I get rid of my brush strokes by kind of just using a circular motion to get those blended in. Okay, so that's a little bit darker. That's how I wanted it. So now, sorry, I have a little drippy. Gotta get rid of that drippy. Okay, might use too much water. I got a little drippy, but they're good. So now I'm gonna grab my aubergine. I'm not gonna mist it again. I don't want it to be dry, but I don't want it to be super soaking wet when I add in my accent color, I guess I'll call it. Not the highlight, not the low light. It's just a fun color to add some more interest and depth. So I chose aubergine because it's my favorite. Can't go wrong with your favorite colors, right? Nah. All right, so I'm gonna be using my flat medium for this too. And I'm just gonna dip a little bit on the tip of my brush. I don't need much at all, or at least to start. And I think I want to do some kind of vignetting or shadowing around some edges. So I'm just going to bring that aubergine right like that. Okay. Then I'm going to do a little bit, I don't know. Maybe we'll just make this shadow a little bit bigger. All right. So got my aubergine, and then I'm going to take my blendy brush, make sure it's wiped off of all that excess paint, and I'm just going to go give a swipe over my aubergine. And then I'm going to just kind of blend it gently back and forth or up and down, whichever way your paint direction is going. And gently blend that into the background. I don't want it to be, let's see. Oh, can you see that? So yes, that one little aubergine right here looks a little funny right now, but we're gonna add some more in other places, so it's gonna look really cool by the time we're done. I want to darken it up just a little bit, so I'm just going to add some more on the very edge. And then I'm going to just kind of swoop, swoop, blend it in very gently. If you blend it in too much, you just lose your color and they mix together and they get all muddy, and then you have just one muddy color. You gotta, just gently blend it in if you want the color to show. So there's my aubergine, and there's draw number 1. Okay? So now we're gonna move on to draw number 2. And I'm gonna pull this bad boy out a little bit. Actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and take this guy all the way out because we're done with him. Okay, so now we can move on to draw number 2. All right, so again, I'm going to start with my vintage duck egg right in the middle. Give it a little water so I can kind of spread out my paint a little bit. Pounce around and get in those details. I'm going to bring it all the way out to where my trim pieces are. So that's kind of how I know my stopping point on the vintage duck egg is I'm taking it out to the trim. And we're going to be blending it, so like I said, no need to have it like perfect. Just kind of get it on there. Okay? But make sure you get all the little details and all the little places and spaces that need paint. Okay, so give it a mist of some water so it should stay nice and wet for us while we apply our Stormy Seas. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure I get the sides of my draws. Okay, and pounce around those details. Make sure I get the top lip of my draw. And we're just basically getting, our second coat is for coverage, making sure we got good coverage, and then the blendy blend. So, I'm gonna make sure that I am, got all my bases covered. Give it a little mist of water. And your colors might start blending a little bit before you even start blending them, just from being so close together and touching. That's all right. We can clean that up. As long as, keep it a little bit wet, we'll clean that up with our blending brush. Told you I'm heavy-handed with paint. I got like drips happening here. Okay, so I'll make sure I get my side. Okay, and finish up our Stormy Seas coat. Pounce around those details, make sure you get all up in there. I got some dried up chunks in my Stormy Seas. I think it's time for new Stormy Seas. All right. All right, so we're in there. All right, give it one quick mist of water. Not too much, you don't want too much water. Now I'm gonna go over it one time, the whole thing, with my wiped off Blendy Blend brush. Okay, and let's see, I'm gonna give it once over. Boom. Okay, that starts the paint blending together, the colors blending together. Okay, now I'm gonna go through and I'm just going to further make sure that they are blended right on top of those details. Almost like a little twister tornado going over my details here. Little twister tornado brush. Boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna wipe off my brush a little bit. Continue my twisty little tornado over my details. For me, that's the best way I can get the details and blending them, is just doing little circles over them. Okay, and then I'm gonna go over one more time over the whole thing to help start cleaning up those brush strokes that I don't want. Boom. All right, so now I can just kind of fine tune a little bit. Fine tune a little bit. Oh, and it's that easy. It really is that easy, you guys. Everybody always says, you make it look so easy. You guys all make it look so easy. It's not hard, just don't overthink it. More is more, but less is more when it comes to blending and brush strokes. Less is more. See, that took me what? Whole 3-4 big long brush strokes? That's it. That's it. so easy. Right, we're gonna do these top 2 drawers so you can see those get done, and then I think we'll be done. So we'll just do the blendy blend 2 more times on these little draws. And if you are just hopping on or you missed the beginning where we went over the color wheel and choosing colors, you might want to go back and check it out maybe. That's up to you. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and push this guy in just a little bit. Pull this guy out just a little bit, and go ahead and right here through the centers with my vintage duck egg. And see how on this particular drawer, it's a little bit smaller. So I'm going to use a smaller blendy blend brush. I'm going to go ahead and grab that. I'm going to grab my Belle brush. So I'm going to grab my the Belle brush from Dixie Belle. It's a little round guy. It's perfect for blending these small little draws like this, or little small spaces. So a mist of water, and go ahead and just basically trace right around the vintage duck egg with my darker color, which is Stormy Seas. So I'm going to go ahead and just trace it, outline my vintage duck egg area, basically like my Stormy Seas is just giving my vintage duck egg a hug. Just giving him a little hug. You just want to, whatever colors you're using, you just want to be a little gentle with your darker color, because the darker colors can tend to take over a blend real quick. So you want to start with less of the dark color. Just, you can always add more if you want. So same thing as before, I'm going to go around the whole thing one time to get that to start blending. Oh, you know what? We didn't do our aubergine on this drawer down here. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. But let me get this guy blended real quick. So now I'm just going to use some little short blendy back and forth motions to get those colors to blend together a little bit better. I know it's a little hard to see while it's wet because it kind of reflects, doesn't it? With these lights, crazy lights. Okay, so we're just going around it, blending those 2 colors together, and that's it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We'll go ahead and do our aubergine on this so you can see it. So on the very bottom one, we put it in this corner. So I think on this top big drawer, we're going to put it in this corner. Maybe add a little bit in here, I don't know, and then we're going to add some to this guy here. So I got my aubergine, my favorite color, and I think I'm just going to, heck, let's just do this corner here. So I'm just kind of making like a, I don't know, sideways L shape, I guess. And we're going to use our Belle brush that we've wiped off. We're just going to kind of blend that aubergine right in. See how it just creates a little shadow? Just creates a little purple huge shadow. Okay? I mean, you don't have to use these colors. You can use any colors you wish. Okay, so in the bottom drawer, we went down here. Now I think on this drawer, we're going to take our aubergine and we're going to go up here. So I'm going to just make that little sideways L again, you guys. And I think, I don't know, I'm kind of feeling a little bit like I should throw some, maybe in the middle, a little drip. I am not a fan of drips, so I got to get rid of the drips. Okay. Maybe I should throw some a little bit in here. I don't know. Maybe come in, I don't know, maybe just kind of come around here a little bit. Maybe a little bit up here. Looks like a little messed up mustache, doesn't it? Okay, so I'm gonna go blendy blend over here. Can you see that? I'm just gonna gently blend in my shadow here. Just kind of going over the edge where it meets the Stormy Seas. And the colors will do the work. The paint will do the work. The paint will do the work. You You just got to guide your brush. And the paint, by nature, will mix together with those simple motions. Okay? So now we're going to take it and just kind of come around here. Get our little mustache going on here. And then maybe blend this. I'm just going over it. Since my paint's still wet, it's just kind of blending in itself. Just gentle motions back and forth where the colors meet, and we'll get them to blend together. Super simple. Don't overthink it. If you overthink it, you're just doing yourself a disservice. Take it from me. Okay? So just going over it a few times until we get our blend fine-tuned the way we want it. Get rid of these unwanted extra brush strokes here. And there we go. Okay, so now we got to do our last drawer, and then we'll be all done with all the drawers. And I will peace out. So again, if you logged on, I'm sorry I can't read any comments. There's none showing up. It's just showing me people's names, which is cool. Hey y'all. But if you have comments or questions, I will go through and address those here in a little bit after we're done. All right, so highlight. This is our last one, okay? Make notes here. Highlight through the middle, okay? Give it a little mist. Go around our edges with the darker color or the shadow. Which in this case is Stormy Seas. Okay, so we basically outlined our vintage duck egg or our highlight color with our low light or shadowy color. Okay, now blendy brush. Just gonna go around one time, swoop, to get those colors to start blending. I'll wipe off my brush. And then I'm just gonna kind of go around and fine tune, get rid of any apparent brush strokes or spots where it's not blending quite as well as I want. And we'll just brush those out, man. Just the spots that aren't, blending yet, just brush them out. Brush them blended. Okay? So I'm just gonna go through with a little bit more vintage duck egg in the middle. I told you, man, the darker color just takes over. It says, give me all that space, so you gotta be careful with the darker color. Okay, so now I'm gonna grab my aubergine, and since I went over here on this drawer, I think I'm gonna go down in the bottom on this drawer here. Or, let's see. Yeah, we'll go down here. Just like that. Just a little L shape, backwards L shape, backwards and upside down L shape. And I'm just going to kind of swoop it in, wipe that excess off, and just kind of blend my little shadowy little touch of aubergine, just blend it right on in. So it's just like a little shadow. Okay? So that's it. That is a blendy blend with a little accent color. So 3 colors that we used. So basically, adding that third color in just adds a little bit of texture or some dimension, really. It just gives it some depth. See how it becomes a little bit more 3D looking with the addition of the third color? A little more three-dimensional. I know it's hard to see while it's wet because the lights shine right on it, but there you go. So anyways, that is it for our color wheel rundown and our blendy blend session. So like I said, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll go back and I'll answer them because I can't see any right now. So hey, if you tuned in, I appreciate you watching. It's Sunday night, so you got a whole week ahead of you, and I hope you have some big plans for the week. Like, I don't know, maybe take a shower or shave your legs, shave your beard, trim things. I don't know. What are big plans right now for everyone? Big plans. The meaning of that has changed. So I hope you all have big plans for the week. And regardless, I hope it's a great week, and I will catch you next time.